So I wanted to switch it up today and cover something called the Squilichev molecule, which is it's a drug created by a gentleman named Vladimir Squilichev that worked in the former Soviet Union worked in the Soviet Union and now works in the former Soviet Union, Russia, and has been working on making the perfect synthetic antioxidant to reverse the aging process and to slow the aging process. And before I start this video, I would like to remind people I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a chiropractor, I'm not anything like that, not a nutritionist, not a dietitian, not a nurse practitioner, not a what have you. I am not somebody to take advice from. This video is not meant to be medical advice or nutritional advice. This video is not meant to be advice, period. Don't take advice from me. If you have a health condition of any sort, please seek the attention of a licensed medical practitioner, preferably in your area, okay? So, no, I am not a medical practitioner. I would highly recommend that people do not take the advice of people on YouTube as medical advice. It's not medical advice, even if they are saying it is medical advice. I am not saying my videos are medical advice, okay? Make that clear. This video, not medical advice. None of my videos are medical advice. I am not trying to lead, mislead, or any other way influence your thought patterns in how you care for yourself. And I am encouraging people to seek the attention of licensed medical practitioners, not YouTube content creators. Now let's get started on what is the Squilichev molecule. The Squilichev molecule is it's essentially a synthetic antioxidant which helps to combat the oxidative damage caused by the combustion of food into energy. And also what happens from pollution and things like that. So it's counteracting the processes, the negative processes of the mitochondria without damaging the mitochondria, and actually keeping the mitochondria from damaging by kind of acting like motor oil. Okay, the mitochondria are where combustion takes place. And what they're doing is these antioxidants are cooling the combustion to make sure it doesn't damage the cell or the DNA or the mitochondria itself, helping to slow down the aging process. The creator of the Squilichev molecule, Vladimir Squilichev, used this as a form of in the form of eye drops to actually reverse his cataracts, which is very interesting. And people might ask, well, how do we know this is? Well, he's a very published scientist. How do we know that this is really real? And well, he's a published scientist. I'm going to leave links to a lot of research he's done, as well as the programs from RT and other sources, as well as Science Direct and things like that, that show that Vladimir Squilichev, that his product works. Okay, it actually does work. I've actually been suspicious that Vladimir Putin is taking some sort of anti-aging substance. Simply because if you look at Vladimir Putin is in his I think he's in his late 60s, early 70s. And I don't know if you can tell by looking at the guy, but he seems to be in much better shape than even presidents that we had. And he's been president much longer, mind you. Remember, the executive office wrecks. The stress of the executive office wrecks politicians. That's why you see people that go in looking great, like Bill Clinton, coming out looking like the Crypt Keeper. And for whatever reason, this has not seemed to affect Vladimir Putin in the same way it has affected, American politicians. And he has been the executive or the prime minister back and forth, many times. I forget, I mean, over a decade now, he has been the executive of the Russian Federation. And he's looking great at his age. Much better than even presidents that seemingly took care of themselves, like Barack Obama and George W. Bush and Bill Clinton. If you compare Vladimir Putin and his timeline as the executive of Russia to, George W. Bush or Barack Obama or Bill Clinton or any of the... I do think that George H.W. Bush did handle the rigors of public office better than other presidents, and I do think that might play a role, okay, because what I'm going to bring up here is Putin was the director of the KGB, and former President George H.W. Bush was the director of the CIA. I do think perhaps that, spy training helps one to handle stress, and I think that may play an important role at retarding the aging process that is affected by the executive office. That might be something that is shared by both Vladimir Putin and George H.W. Bush. I do think they handled the rigors of the office much better, the rigors of their respective offices, because, of course, Vladimir Putin is not the president of the United States. But I do think that both Putin and George Herbert Walker Bush handled the rigors of the public office far better than, let's say, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, or George H.W. Bush. Now, it is known that Putin does participate in physical activity and follows somewhat of a traditional diet. It doesn't, probably not very much junk food or anything like that, which could result in some of the results that you see. And for all I know, he could be following the recommendations of Dr. Jeffrey Life, the founder of Synergetics, he was a doctor at Synergetics, and maybe he's following the Life Plan. I highly doubt it, but maybe he is. maybe he's following academician Nikolai Amasov's version of the Life Plan, called The Life Protocol by academician Nikolai Amasov. I really don't know. But I do know that Putin looks a lot better than our presidents do, and he's held the executive office for at least over twice as long, perhaps 3 times as long, as many of our leaders have. So the Skulachev molecule seems to be more agile, better equipped to get into the little nooks and crannies of the cell to help protect the cell, and to protect DNA, and to protect DNA from damage, and to protect RNA from damage, and to protect the mitochondria from damage, etc. There is a way to do this with regular antioxidants, whether they be phytonutrients like grapeseed extract, resveratrol, etc., and that is to take these products with lecithin, with an emulsifier. Lecithin is an ideal emulsifier, which is food-grade lecithin, is obviously used very readily in the food processing industry, in the production of things like chocolate and things of that nature, but it also makes the antioxidants and the water-soluble nutrients more able to fit into both the fatty and water-soluble parts of the cell, making it able to protect the whole cell versus just parts of the cell. Because without the lecithin, it's generally only getting into the watery parts of the cell, not the fatty parts of the cell, which is what you also need to protect. And fat is far more prone to degradation than is water. So you want to get it into the fatty parts of the cell. Now, my karate instructor, he's a big fan of liposomal vitamin C. I'm not. I don't think it's worth the dough, because I take my water-soluble nutrients with lecithin. So that's one thing. The other thing is you want to make sure that you are taking nutrients that actually benefit mitochondrial health. And the best thing that you can start with is to start supplementing with B vitamins, the B vitamin family. That can be as simple as a good spectrum of B complex vitamins that have 100% of all your B vitamins. I, of course, take extras of certain ones like folic acid and B12. But the thing is also you have to understand the B vitamins are not only antioxidants that protect against mitochondrial damage, but they also improve mitochondrial function, and they also improve DNA synthesis, RNA synthesis, and they help make more of you without the problems that may arise. It helps to control the validity of the information encoded in the DNA. So the consumption of B vitamins in supplement form, I personally think, is very important to the prolonging of life, but also it's very important to the improved function of the mitochondria. B vitamins also protect the heart, they protect the dermis, the skin. B vitamins are very important for a lot of different things, and it can be as simple as taking a B vitamin, a B complex vitamin that gives you 100% of everything there. We also know from the what do you call it, the triage theory of aging and disease, Bruce Ames's triage theory of aging and disease, that really you need everything. And that's why I agree with Dr. Joel Wallach, and I'll leave a link to what he has, the 90 essential nutrients. You don't need to get them from him. I personally don't, but you do need to get them from somewhere. So the 90 essential nutrients are required to maintain optimal health, and that includes phytochemicals like carotenoids. Okay, carotenoids are particularly important in retarding the aging process, especially of the eyes and the skin and things of that nature. Again, you want to take these things with lecithin because it helps you to absorb them. Okay, and this gets to diet. Okay, so we know that you know that to mimic the Skolochev molecule, you need these antioxidants, you need these nutrients, and you need to get them into all the parts of the cell. Not just the watery parts, not just the fatty parts, but all throughout the cell and the extracellular matrix. You want to be infused with these nutrients. So that's that. Now, what about diet? Well, we know that there are a couple diets that are shown to promote the prolonging of life, and these include the Okinawan diet, the traditional Okinawan diet, the Mediterranean diet, and things of that nature. And what I would say is, instead of following a set protocol like the Okinawan protocol or the China study or a macrobiotic diet or something like that, I would suggest trying to get 1/3 of each of your macronutrients. Remember, fiber does not count as carbohydrate. You can eat all the fiber you'd like because fiber is not broken down as energy, and it does feed the gut bacteria. Of course, taking too much fiber all at once can cause problems with it can make you gassy and things like that. Some cases can even cause what's called a bezoar, which is a blockage of the intestines. But let's not worry about that right now. You can do your own research on what a bezoar is and how blockages in the intestines form and things like that. What I want to talk about now is the importance of following a nutrient-dense diet. Remember, macronutrients and micronutrients are both important. I recently started reclaiming my health by getting back on a diet that favors a good macronutrient profile to match the micronutrient profile after wrecking my health on the starch solution by Dr. John McDougall. Now, I started implementing a diet that is far, far, far more similar to a lower carbohydrate version of the zone diet, meaning I go 33, 33, 33. I don't go 40, 30, 30. And the reason why is because in order to lose weight, a significant amount of weight, you need to cut the carbohydrates below 40%, in my opinion. I'm not real big into caloric restriction, although caloric restriction does seem to be a magic bullet with extending lifespan. People might have noticed a while back, over the course of a few years, my skin and my hair, I was getting hair fall. Luckily, it's not the same. My hairline is not as bad as it was. And that's because I started consuming more fatty acids, more calories, more protein, more B vitamins. I started adding more B vitamins, such as extra folate, such as extra thiamine, extra riboflavin, and of course the B complex I already was taking. But what you need to consider when you are restricting anything is, what is your activity level? My activity level was quite vigorous. For many years it was quite vigorous. Even when I thought I was dying of a heart condition, which I may have been, nobody can really answer that question for me. But even when I thought I was dying of a heart condition, I retained my vigorous activity, because I figured if I'm going to die, I'm going to die trying to live. Which, interestingly enough, was the same approach I had when I was a teenager. When I was 12 years old, I was diagnosed with hypercholesterolemia, or high cholesterol, high LDL cholesterol, due to a number of psychiatric medicines I was on. And I had to freakishly adjust my diet to a ketogenic diet to rebalance my lipid profile. And yes, the ketogenic diet can rebalance your lipid profile if you eat it properly. Okay, and I can get all into that. Like I said, the Atkins diet can be as healthy or as unhealthy as you want it to. You can favor monounsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats over saturated fats if you wish. You can favor soy protein and plant-based proteins over animal proteins if you wish. You don't require dairy. In fact, a lot of dairy is too high in carbohydrate to be on the Atkins diet. So my point is the eco-Atkins diet style, or the type of diet actually that my psychiatrist put me on as a teenager, which helped me lose 150 pounds in a little less than a year, and rebalanced my lipids, was a diet that favored polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats over saturated fats, but was extremely low in carbohydrate, and essentially consisted of animal products, lean animal products, vegetables, and added things like a little bit of added olive oil or added canola oil, or at that time, this is before all this fatty acid stuff came out about the interesting concepts of fatty acid, even corn oil, and sunflower seed oil. He just wanted me to be consuming more polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats, and even soybean oil, and not a lot of, not any really of the saturated fatty acids, if I could help it. And this fixed my my hypercholesterol issues, my high LDL cholesterol, and it really brought down my triglycerides and body mass. To the point where I was too thin for quite a while. So I do think that favoring nutrient-dense foods, as are present in the Okinawan diet protocol, or in the China study, or in the traditional diets of the Native American populations of this continent, or things like that. Like, for example, if you're going to eat whole grains that are rich in phytonutrients, such as buckwheat. Don't eat things like refined wheat flour, okay? Use some common sense, and also control the overall amount of carbohydrate that you're taking in to about 33%. Most people can get away with 40% if they're already a proper body mass index. For somebody like me that is slightly over their ideal body mass index, you need to be consuming less carbohydrate, more protein, and more fat in relation to the amount of carbohydrate, but favoring healthful versions of this, shunning the animal fats, shunning the animal products, making use more of plant-based proteins and healthy oils and things of that nature. But the thing is, eating a nutrient-dense diet is not difficult. And the other thing is to take into consideration one's activity level. For example, with me, as I said, I've always had a high activity level. When I started looking at some of my videos, I noticed my skin was looking like shit, really. I was looking quite badly. And my hair, I had a very bad receding hairline, and I started realizing, I'm probably not getting enough of certain macronutrients, and I might have to start eating more food and start lifting more weights and exercising more. So you also have to look at the role that physical activity plays in managing the BMI and the necessity to eat an appropriate amount of calories with the appropriate amounts of macronutrients to favor proper health. Because eating too little fat and too little protein can cause disease. And that is something that and it can affect the absorption of nutrients and things of that nature. So that's important to take into consideration. So if you're trying to mimic the Skulachev molecule, make sure you're getting enough fatty acids, enough lecithin. These will help you to absorb the water-soluble antioxidants and B vitamins, but also consider taking supplemental amino acids, such as I do with glycine and glutamine, which help you to produce glutathione and other endogenous antioxidants, as do things like pantothenic acid. And I have a whole video going on pantothenic acid. I just wanted to switch it up before I got really bored. And that's all for this video. Please follow the links in the description. Follow the links, read the links, understand the links, realize those links are there so that you can get a better grasp of what I covered in this video. And that's all for this video.